Question 1. Who are the two key cognitive development theorists and what are their main contributions to the field of cognitive development? So the two key cognitive development theorists were Lev Vygotsky and Jean Piaget. Lev Vygotsky introduced social constructivism, the zone of proximal development, and the more knowledgeable other. Jean Piaget introduced the 4 stages of cognitive development. Lev Vygotsky was labeled as a social constructivist. Social constructivism emphasizes the importance of context and understanding what happens in society. The more knowledgeable other is the teacher that's required. So it can also be a parent, an adult, or a coach or a friend. The zone of proximal development has 2 stages. Level 1 is the present level, what the child can do without any help from others, and the level 2 is the potential level, what the child is potentially able to do with help from other people or teachers. Children below 7 think out loud and in monologues, and as they become older, they're able to internalize their verbal thinking. The next cognitive development theorist is Jean Piaget, who was influenced by Maria Montessori. He believed that children cannot learn unless they're constantly interacting in their environment and even making mistakes, but learning from them. Stage 1 is a sensory motor stage from birth to approximately 2 years. So only the senses and motor abilities are used to do so. In stage 2 to 7 years, child represents another object symbolically. They're egocentric, and the conservation stage, they struggle to understand difference in quantity and measurements in different situations. Stage 3 is a concrete operational stage and occurs from 7 to 11 years of age, and they still need physical objects to manipulate in order to understand. So they need to see it or they need to touch it. Stage 4 is from 11 onwards, and here they can think outside the box and hypothetically, and they no longer need models or visual models or things that they can manipulate. So the 2 key moral developmental theories and their contributions. Okay, so Kohlberg, he believed in 6 stages. Stage 1 is based on obedience, punishment, and orientation. The children do not reproach the rules of adults. In stage 2, it's about individualism and exchange. So here they can see another person's perspective, and such words such as exchange and fair are understood. In stage 3, the good interpersonal relationships develop. Stage 4 is about maintaining social order, and stage 5 is about viewing morality as a social contract. Stage 6 is about the creation of a good society. Now, this is Albert Bandura, the next moral development theorist. He argued that children need to observe appropriate moral decision-making by adults. One of his most famous researches was the experiment with the Bobo dolls, and the children here viewed examples of violent and non-violent behavior towards those rebounding dolls. The ones that did see the violent behavior did copy it, whereas the ones that saw it less did it to a lesser extent. So it's about remembering what's good and what's bad, and not modeling bad behavior. So that's what it's teaching us. So we're always modeling it regardless of whether it's good or bad. So we need to be aware. By the 1980s, the social cognitive theory of human functioning was developed. So people are producers as well as products of their environment. So we're not just reacting. And human functioning is a product of dynamic interplay of personal behavior and environmental influences. So I think that's the latest research. Why is it important for teachers to understand cognitive and moral development? Well, obviously it's a contribution to human development, and it can help to cater better for the learning needs of students. It can help lesson planning, setting goals, having fair expectations of the classroom, also in assisting students with special needs because you know what level they're at or what you can expect them to do next. You can set a goal in promoting constructivism, so class discussion. It can also motivate the children. And obviously moral development, the teacher's always modeling it, so it needs to be incorporated into classroom management. So I think it should be planned for, not something that just happens occasionally or by coincidence. How will it help me? Well, I would be, well, in terms of applying Vygotsky, I'm aware of the 2 stages, but I will still be sure that my students reach level 1 before I try and assist with help, just so I'm not providing always all the answers. I would use lots of vocabulary and reading and writing, because language needs to be promoted, and that's really essential for a social constructivist classroom. In maths, also understanding the levels of my students, so I can maybe keeping diagnostic assessments. Cognitive example of cognitive development in classroom scaffolding. So, for example, with abacuses and counting props for students. Moral development, fishbowl discussion. It helps in setting boundaries, maintaining a highly structured environment, accepting diversity, and children can answer questions about their identity.